So I wanted to make this video because I feel like we're constantly talking about jealousy and how that shows up in friendships, especially female friendships, and what that does and how that, harms certain dynamics. But we never talk about the actual feeling of jealousy, what it feels like to experience the feeling of jealousy and not be the one who's on the receiving end of somebody expressing that jealousy. I think that oftentimes, especially women, but men as well, men experience jealousy a lot, but they are more shameful about it. And it's usually about things that are not attached to looks. It's usually about things that are attached to finances, maybe attached to looks in like the height department. But as we know, beauty is to women what money is to men. So it's more so because of their finances. So I grew up with a sister who had a lot going for herself. She was always doing something that was impactful. She was traveling the country at like 14 years old, giving speeches on stage and stuff. And I was kind of just existing. And so at a certain point, like, it became a thing to where I started to accept the fact that sometimes other people's time is not your time. That does not mean that your time is not going to come. That does not mean that you don't have any sort of impactful purpose, but it just means that right now is for them. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with the fact that other people may receive attention before you do. But also, I think one of the main things about this is like a woman's need for validation. We can say as much as we want that like we don't crave validation, but that it's literally like we are socialized to do so. So until you have done the work of like really trying to train yourself to get your main source of validation from within, you crave validation. And 9 times out of 10, most of the people who are around my age, and I'm 19, most of the people who are around my age do crave validation. And that is nothing to be ashamed of. I think that the main problem here, actually, in a general sense, the main problem with people experiencing certain emotions or going through like certain issues of like wanting people to validate them externally, it's because we attach so much shame to admitting these things. How are you going to actually like heal your relationship with yourself if you never admit to yourself that you have the problem in the first place? And so I think that like when it comes to those things like jealousy, envy, attention seeking, all of these things where like you're focused on things that are outside of yourself, the first step is admitting to yourself that you feel that way. There's nothing wrong with confronting those problems, and it doesn't make it so that everyone else can see it. It doesn't make it so that you are amplifying the feeling or amplifying the emotion. All it does is it makes it so that you are aware. And the first step is awareness. I don't remember what the woman's name was. I think it was Erykah Badu. I think I saw a video of Erykah Badu where she was talking about how awareness is the first step to fixing a lot of problems. So as long as you are okay with the way that you feel, not okay with the way that you feel, but as long as you are aware of the way that you feel and you look at yourself with a critical eye, you will be able to move past whatever unhealthy emotion you're feeling. So when it comes to jealousy, 9 times out of 10, when we feel jealousy, it's because we are experiencing seeing somebody do something that we know we want to do. Most of the time, you are capable, but you have convinced yourself that this person has some sort of special situation where they were given all of the tools to get into that position or be that kind of person that you wish that you could be. But really, like, if you desire something and if you know that you want to incorporate something into your life, you need to take the steps in order to get there. Because if you do not, that jealousy is only going to amplify. That does not mean that the only reason that you would be feeling jealousy is because you have not taken the necessary steps to get to where you want to be. But I think a lot of the times when we do experience jealousy, it's because we see somebody doing something that we wish we could do. But why can't you? Why can't you? If you don't like something about your situation, then change it. You need to create a reality for yourself where you're so content with your life that you don't even think twice about what you're lacking. You don't live in a state of lack when you know that you are capable of achieving everything that you want to achieve. So I think with that comes understanding gratitude. What does it look like to actually like be grateful for where you are and also want to be somewhere else in the future? You still have to have an appreciation for right now, because if you don't have an appreciation for right now, when you get to where you actually want to be, you're not going to be happy with it, because you're always going to be thinking about how much more you want. So practicing gratitude is actually the first step to learning a lot of new skills, but it does not mean that you are just like, oh, I'm content with where I'm at, so I'm going to stay here. No, I'm grateful for where I'm at, because I know that my situation could also be somebody else's dream situation. And although I want more for myself, that does not mean that I'm just acting like I have nothing, because it could always be worse. It could always be worse. I used to wish that my hair would grow so bad. It would grow, but I did not see length retention past literally right here. I used to want my hair to grow so bad, and when it finally did, I just wanted it to grow more. And do you see how that works? Like, we are conditioned to believe that there is never an end to where we can be. It's always maximize your results instead of like, let me take it one day at a time. I'm grateful for where I am, and I do see more for myself, but that does not mean that I'm just like never expressing that gratitude to myself, to the universe, a higher power, my ancestors, whatever the case may be, whatever you believe in. Expressing that gratitude to yourself and whatever divine being you believe in is always going to make it so that you never feel that you're in a state of lack. And when you don't feel that you're in a state of lack, you are less likely to experience the feeling of jealousy, because you understand that like some things are not for you. And even though it seems like it's great in this other person's life, and it probably is great for this other person, whatever thing you're jealous of, it's not your time to have it, or it's just not meant for you in general. You should always be expecting, you should never want for anything that's not in alignment with you, even if it seems like somebody else is enjoying the hell out of it. Like, if it's aligned with you, it'll come to you, especially if you're living in that alignment. When my hair finally grew, and like I said, it was short. It was up to here. When my hair finally grew, and I just kept like saying, I want it to grow more. I want my hair to grow to my butt. I had to actually pause for a minute and be like, I used to wish my hair would touch my shoulders. And now it's at like armpit length. And so we constantly trick ourselves into thinking, when I get to this point, I'll be satisfied. But you get to that point without even knowing it. And you're still asking for more when you already were given what you asked for. Why do we never take a moment to actually pause and be like, wow, it took me a minute to get here, and I was so, like, I used to long for this. Like, I used to really wish that I would be in this position one day, and now I'm here, and I want to, like, exist in that. Like, it's okay to just pause for a minute and be like, wow, like, it took me a long time to get here, or I used to really wish that I could get here. you know? And so I think when I say that, I think that jealousy and the lack of gratitude go hand in hand. I mean that if you are jealous, if you are really a jealous person, the spirit of jealousy is within you. That means that you don't have enough gratitude for where you are right now. Because if you really did understand gratitude and you knew how to really like bask in that gratitude, you wouldn't look at other people and say, why don't I have that? Because you know that if you're aligned with yourself and your higher purpose, your higher self, it's going to come to you one day, if that's really what's meant for you. Because sometimes we think we want certain things and we get to a certain point or a certain amount of time passes by and we realize that those things were never meant for us. Like, we are conditioned to want certain things that are not for us and can actually be detrimental to our growth or our purpose, our alignment. It's so important to actually like be okay with the fact that like not everything that we think we want is for us. And so learning certain lessons is essential to eliminating that feeling of lack. You are never in lack when you're in alignment. You are never lacking anything when you're in alignment with yourself. But I think that like the main thing when we have these conversations about jealousy, female dynamics, whatever. Oh, I wanted to get into that as well. It's also important to give yourself grace with this feeling as a woman because women are conditioned to constantly be in competition with another, constantly putting each other down, trying to spot flaws in other women, whatever the case may be. It's all bullshit. But it's also kind of not bullshit because if you want to look at it from a political standpoint, this is exactly what we are supposed to be doing from a patriarchal standpoint. We're told that we need to put other women down in order to eliminate the competition for male validation. So with that comes jealousy, because if you see somebody who you think is a threat to you, that feeling of jealousy, especially when you know that there's nothing that you can do to make it so that she is no longer a threat to you or whatever, that feeling of jealousy will consume you. And that's when the obsession comes in. You start hyper fixating on, why is she doing this? Why is she talking to him like that? Why is she walking in the room like she's all that? She thinks she's better than us. The reason why you are saying these things is because you're experiencing the feeling of jealousy because patriarchy has gotten to you combined, and that is also interacting with the fact that you feel like you're not good enough. So I think that like once we actually confront those emotions of like those feelings of it starts with me and it starts inside of me, I'm responsible for the way that I interact with the world and not the other way around. That's when we can actually start to heal our relationships with ourselves. Because you're taking accountability for your feelings, you're taking accountability for the way that you interact with other people, and not making it so that everyone else is apparently at fault. Because a lot of the times when people experience feelings of jealousy, they make it seem like other people are doing something in order to make them feel jealous. Nobody can do anything to make you feel jealous. If you're secure in yourself, you're never going to feel that way. Or not that you're never going to feel that way when you're secure in yourself, but you will be able to understand that if you're experiencing a feeling of jealousy, it's because you have something that is not healed within you. Or you have a feeling inside yourself that you've not confronted. You're existing in a state of lack, for example. So, yeah. I feel like I'm always really bad at closing out these videos. I don't really like have an outro. Maybe I should work on that, but that was just weighing on me, so I felt like I should share it. And yeah, I don't know how consistently I'll be posting actually. Like, I really can't deliver a video if I don't authentically feel like I have something to talk about. So whenever I post, I'll post. And I'll see you guys maybe soon in the future at some point.